I canceled my wedding exactly 72 hours before I was supposed to walk down the aisle, and according to half the people in my hometown, I did it because of a bowl of pho. That is the version my former fiancé tells everyone. He says I threw away a 4-year relationship because he refused to drive me 5 kilometers for breakfast. His mother says I was spoiled. His aunt says modern women no longer understand sacrifice. One of his cousins even posted online that I had humiliated their entire family over noodles and soup, but I did not cancel my wedding because of a bowl of pho. I canceled it because, in the space of one morning, the man I was about to marry finally showed me what my life would become after I became his wife. And once I saw it clearly, I could not unsee it. 3 days before the wedding, I woke up exhausted. My phone said 6:42 a.m. For the previous week, I had barely slept. Our wedding was going to be held at my parents' house, as is common in our village. That meant there were tents to arrange, tables to rent, invitations to confirm, relatives arriving from other provinces, decorations to finish, and endless conversations about food, timing, transportation, and family customs. Every time I thought one task was complete, someone called with another problem. The flower arch was the wrong shade of red. The photographer wanted to change the schedule. My fiancé's family said the procession should leave 30 minutes earlier. My mother worried there would not be enough chairs. My father had spent 2 days repairing the front gate because he wanted the house to look respectable when the groom's family arrived. I had been moving constantly the day before. I helped my mother organize dishes until nearly midnight, then stayed awake checking the guest list because my fiancé, Min, had suddenly remembered 12 additional co-workers he wanted to invite. When I finally got out of bed that morning, my entire body felt heavy. My mother had left a pot of rice from the night before in the kitchen. In our village, breakfast was often simple. Leftover rice, pickled vegetables, maybe a fried egg. Normally, I did not mind. But that morning, I looked at the cold rice and felt my stomach turn. I wanted something warm, something easy. There was a small pho restaurant in the district center, about 5 kilometers from my house. Min and I had eaten there dozens of times while we were dating. So I sent him a message. Are you awake? He responded almost immediately. Yes. Why? I wrote, I'm exhausted. Can you come get me and take me to the district for a bowl of pho? I don't think I can eat cold rice this morning. I expected him to say yes. Our houses were less than 1 kilometer apart. He had a motorbike. The trip would have taken less than 15 minutes. Instead, he called me. I answered with a smile, already expecting him to complain jokingly that I was demanding breakfast before sunrise, but his voice was flat. You want me to drive you to the district just to eat pho? Yes, I said. I'm tired, and I want something warm. There's food at your house. There's cold rice. Heat it. I don't feel like eating it. He sighed loudly. Not a tired sigh, an irritated one. Then come over here. To your house? Yes. My mother is already awake. I assumed he meant his mother had cooked breakfast. What did she make? She hasn't made anything. I paused. Then why should I come over? So you can cook. At first, I thought he was joking. For whom? For everyone. I sat down on the edge of my bed. Min, I just told you I'm tired. So I'm not coming to your house to cook breakfast for 6 people. His parents lived with his younger brother, his grandmother, and an unmarried uncle. Once we married, I was expected to move into that house. It had been one of the few parts of the marriage that made me nervous. But Min had always told me not to worry. He said his family was traditional, but kind. He said no one would force me to become a servant. He said we would share responsibilities. He said he would protect me if anyone treated me unfairly. That morning, however, his tone was completely different. "You're going to be my wife in 3 days," he said. "Why are you acting like cooking for my family is beneath you?" I didn't say it was beneath me. "Then come over. I'm exhausted. My mother is exhausted, too. Then you cook." There was silence. The kind of silence that changes the temperature of a conversation. "What did you say?" "I said you can cook breakfast. I'm a man. And men don't eat?" "That's not the point." "What is the point?" "The point is that you're about to become the daughter-in-law of this house. You should already know what is expected." The phrase made me uncomfortable. What exactly is expected? He gave another frustrated sigh. "You wake up early. You prepare breakfast. You make tea for my father and grandmother. You make sure the house is organized before everyone starts the day, every morning." Obviously, I almost laughed, but nothing about his voice sounded humorous. "Min, I also have a job, so does my mother. Your mother works from home. She still works, and I commute to the city, then wake up earlier." I looked at the clock. 6:49 a.m. The sun had barely risen. "You expect me to wake up before everyone, cook for the whole family, clean the kitchen, get ready, and then travel an hour to work? That's what a daughter-in-law does. According to whom?" According to normal families. I could feel anger rising in my chest, but I tried to control it. "Listen to me. I haven't even moved into your house yet. I'm not coming over this morning to serve breakfast because you ordered me to." "Serve?" "Yes, that's what you're describing. Cooking for your family is not serving. It is when 6 adults are waiting for one woman to feed them." He raised his voice. "You're so stubborn, and you're being unreasonable. I'm warning you now," he said. "Once you marry me, there will be no waking up late and asking to eat at restaurants every morning. I asked for pho once. It starts with pho. Then you'll say you're too tired to cook. Then you'll say you're too busy to clean. Then my mother will have to do everything while you act like some city princess." I stared at the wall. For years, Min had praised my independence. He told people he admired how hard I worked. He liked telling his friends that his girlfriend had a university degree and a stable job at a provincial insurance company. But now, 3 days before the wedding, he was speaking as though my job was an inconvenient hobby that should never interfere with my real purpose, serving his household. "I'm not coming," I said. His voice became colder. "You need to understand something before the wedding." "What?" "When you become my wife, you don't get to do whatever you want anymore." The sentence landed harder than any insult could have. I repeated it slowly. "I don't get to do whatever I want." "You know what I mean." "No." "Explain it." "You become part of my family. You follow the rules of my home, our home, my parents' home." "And what rules apply to you?" "I'm their son." That wasn't my question. He ignored it. "You need to stop arguing over everything." "I'm not arguing. I'm asking whether you expect me to work all day and serve your entire family before and after work." "No one said serve. You said I have to wake up and cook for everyone. That is normal." "Then why can't your brother cook? He's still young. He's 23. He's studying. He finished university last year. He's looking for work." "What about your uncle?" "My uncle is older than you, so you expect an older man to cook for you?" "I expect adults to take care of themselves." His breathing became louder. Through the phone. "You have no respect for my family." "That isn't true. You don't even want to make breakfast for them." "I don't want to be commanded to do it when I am tired. Before I even marry you, you should want to." That sentence stayed with me. You should want to not help. Occasionally, not contribute fairly, not care for each other as a family. I was supposed to want to wake up every morning and prove my worth through unpaid labor. And if I did not want it, then something was wrong with me. I lowered my voice. Min, I am tired. I'm going to make tea and rest. We can talk later. Don't hang up. I don't want to fight. You started this. I asked you to take me for breakfast. You demanded I waste my morning driving you around while my mother has work to do. I didn't demand anything. You always do this. You act sweet. But when you don't get what you want, you become difficult. I felt something twist inside me. When have I done that? Plenty of times. Give me one example. He hesitated. That's not the point. It is exactly the point. I'm not going to stand here listing your flaws. Then, stop inventing them. He shouted my name. I pulled the phone away from my ear. Do not speak to me like that. I'll speak however I need to. Speak if you refuse to listen. I ended the call. My hands were shaking. Not because I was afraid, at least. Not yet. I was angry, confused, and deeply uncomfortable. I told myself it was stress. The wedding was 3 days away. Both families were exhausted. Maybe Min had slept badly. Maybe his mother had pressured him. Maybe we both needed an hour to calm down. I went into the kitchen and made tea. My mother was outside with 2 aunts, checking the large cooking pots that had been delivered. For the wedding feast, my father had gone to buy additional lights for the front yard. I did not tell anyone about the call. I sat alone at the kitchen table and tried to convince myself that I was overreacting. Then, I heard a motorbike stop outside. A few seconds later, Min walked through the gate. He did not call my name. He did not greet my relatives. He came directly into the kitchen with his face tight and angry. My mother followed him inside. Min, is something wrong? He ignored her and looked at me. Why did you hang up? I told you I didn't want to fight. You embarrassed me. There were only 2 people on the call. You spoke to me like I was nothing. I told you I'm not coming over to cook. My mother looked from him to me. What happened? Min turned toward her. Auntie, you need to teach your daughter how to behave before she enters my family. The room became completely still. My mother's expression changed. Not dramatically. She simply stopped smiling. Teach her what? She has no respect. My mother is preparing for the wedding, and your daughter refuses to come help make breakfast. My mother looked at me. Did his mother ask you? No, then who asked? He did. Min interrupted. She is going to live in my house. She should not need to be asked. My aunt stepped into the doorway. What are you saying? I'm saying she needs to understand her responsibilities. I stood up. Min, go home. No, we're solving this now. There is nothing to solve while you're shouting in my parents' house. I'm not shouting. You came here to insult me in front of my family. I came here because you behaved disrespectfully. My mother's voice remained calm. What exactly did she do? She asked me to drive her to eat pho. My aunt blinked. That's the problem. That is not the problem. The problem is her attitude. I told her to come cook breakfast at my house, and she refused. My mother stared at him. Why would she cook at your house this morning? Because she is about to become our daughter-in-law. She hasn't married you yet. 3 days make no difference. They make a very important difference. He crossed his arms. This is exactly why she behaves this way. Everyone here protects her. My mother looked almost amused. Protects her from what? Making breakfast? From responsibility. At that moment, my father returned. He walked through the door carrying a box of outdoor lights and immediately sensed the tension. What's happening? Min turned to him. Uncle, I'm glad you're here. You need to speak to your daughter. My father placed the box on the floor. About what? She has no idea how to behave as a wife. My father looked at me, then at Min. The wedding hasn't happened yet, and you are already judging her as a wife. She needs to learn. My father's face hardened. Learn what? To respect my family, to wake up early, to help my mother, to stop thinking only about herself. I could hear my heartbeat in my ears. My father did not raise his voice. That made his words feel heavier. My daughter has worked since she graduated. She has supported this household. She helps her mother every day she is home. What makes you think she only thinks about herself? I'm talking about my house. She does not live in your house. She will in 3 days. Not. If you speak to her like this, Min laughed once. It was short and ugly. So now you're threatening to cancel the wedding? My father glanced at me. No, that decision belongs to my daughter. Everyone looked at me. I wish I could say I knew immediately what I wanted. I did not. For several seconds, I stood there thinking about everything that had already been prepared. The invitations had been sent. The food had been ordered. Relatives were traveling. My wedding dress was hanging upstairs. My parents had spent money they had saved for years. There were red decorations already tied to the gate. In 3 days, I was supposed to wake up, put on that dress, bow to both families, and leave my parents' home as Min's wife. Canceling the wedding would create gossip that could last for years. People would say I was difficult. They would say I had become arrogant after working in the city. They would say no other man would want a woman who canceled a wedding at the last minute. For one brief moment, I considered apologizing, not because I believed I was wrong, because surrender would be easier. I could tell myself Min was stressed. I could marry him and deal with the household expectations later. Maybe once we were husband and wife, he would calm down. Maybe we could move out after a year. Maybe his mother would defend me. Maybe the man standing in my parents' kitchen was not the real Min. Then he looked directly at my father and said, "You should have taught her better before agreeing to give her to another family. Give her as though I were an object. As though my parents had spent 27 years raising me only to transfer ownership." My father's jaw tightened. My mother reached for my hand, and suddenly, all the small moments I had ignored over the years came back to me. The time Min became angry because I wore a sleeveless dress to a company dinner. The time he told me married women should not travel overnight for work. The time he complained that I earned slightly more than he did and said it made a man look weak. The time his mother joked that once I moved in, she could finally sleep later because there would be another woman in the house. The time Min said nothing. The time his brother left dirty dishes on the table and his mother automatically handed them to me, even though I was only visiting. The time Min told me not to make a scene when I asked why his brother could not wash his own plate. Every incident had seemed small. A joke, a misunderstanding, tradition, stress. But together, they formed a picture, and that morning, the final piece fell into place. This was not about breakfast. This was not about pho. This was about power. Min did not want a partner. He wanted a woman who would enter his family, accept the lowest position in the household, and call it love. I removed my engagement ring. Everyone watched as I placed it on the kitchen table. Min's expression changed. "What are you doing? I'm not marrying you." He stared at me. "What?" "The wedding is cancelled." My aunt covered her mouth. My mother tightened her grip on my hand. My father said nothing. Min looked around the room as if waiting for someone to laugh. You're being ridiculous. No, you're canceling our wedding. Because I told you to cook breakfast? I'm canceling because you believe marrying me gives you the right to control me. I never said that. You said I won't get to do what I want after marriage. That's not what I meant. You said I must follow the rules of your house. You're twisting my words. You came into my parents' home and told my father to teach me how to behave because you were disrespectful. And now I'm telling you clearly, I will not marry a man who thinks respect only moves in one direction. His face turned red. You will regret this. Maybe. No one else will marry you after this. My stomach tightened, but I held his gaze. Then I would rather remain unmarried. His voice rose. You think you can humiliate my family 3 days before the wedding? You came here to humiliate me. You're destroying everything over a bowl of pho. The bowl of pho only gave you a reason to show me who you are. He stepped closer. My father moved between us. That's enough, Min pointed at me over my father's shoulder. Tell her to stop this nonsense. My father's response was immediate. She has made her decision. You're going to allow this? She is my daughter, not my property. The word landed exactly where it needed to. Not my property. For the first time that morning, I felt able to breathe. Min looked at my mother. Auntie, talk some sense into her. My mother shook her head. I was married young, she said. I know how difficult it is to enter another family. If my daughter already feels unsafe before the wedding, I will not force her to go unsafe. I never touched her. You do not need to hit a woman to make her life miserable. He stared at her, then he laughed bitterly. All of you are insane. My father opened the door. You should leave. Min picked up the engagement ring from the table. You'll come begging when you realize what you've done. I said nothing. He walked outside, started his motorbike, and left without greeting anyone. The moment the sound disappeared down the road, my knees gave way. I sat on the floor and started crying. Not gentle tears. I cried so hard that I could barely breathe. My mother sat beside me and held my shoulders. I'm sorry, I kept saying. I apologized for the money, the invitations, the relatives, the food, the decorations, the shame. My father crouched in front of me. Look at me. I tried. His eyes were wet. None of that matters more than your life. But the wedding, a wedding is one day. He placed his hand over mine. A marriage can become your entire life. My mother nodded. Losing money hurts. People talking hurts. But waking up every day in a house where you are treated like a servant will hurt more. I cried harder. My father said something I will never forget. Walking backward 3 steps is not failure if the road ahead leads off a cliff. By 9 that morning, both families knew .by 10. Our phones were ringing constantly. Min's mother called my mother first. She did not ask what happened. She began by accusing me of disrespecting their family. We have already invited everyone, she shouted, loudly enough that I could hear from across the room. Do you understand how humiliating this is? My mother answered calmly. Your son came to our house and shouted at our daughter. He was angry because she refused to help. She is not your daughter-in-law. She was going to be not anymore. His mother's voice became colder. So you support this? Yes. You're teaching her to abandon responsibilities. I'm teaching her she can leave before someone destroys her confidence. The call ended shortly afterward. Then, Min's aunt called me directly. She said marriages required sacrifice. I asked whose sacrifice she meant. She said women had always taken care of their husbands' families. I asked why that tradition seemed to require nothing from the husbands. She told me not to be clever. I ended the call. Min sent me 23 messages before noon. At first, he was angry. You embarrassed me. You made my mother cry. Everyone is talking. You're acting like a child. Then he became dismissive. Calm down. We can still fix this. Tell your parents you panicked. I'll forgive you. The phrase made me laugh through my tears. He would forgive me later. The messages became threatening. My family will not accept you now. You will pay back every expense. We will tell everyone why the wedding was cancelled. Do not expect to keep the gifts. Then, around 2 in the afternoon, his tone changed again. I'm sorry. I was stressed. You know I love you. Please, don't throw away for years. That message almost broke me. For years. He was not wrong. We had met when I was 23. He was funny, then patient. He waited outside my office in the rain because my bus was delayed. He remembered what kind of coffee I liked when my grandmother became ill. He drove my mother and me to the hospital at midnight. There were good memories, real ones. I had loved him. Part of me still did. Canceling the wedding did not erase that love instantly. It only forced me to admit that love was no longer enough. That evening, Min came back. This time, he arrived with his mother, father, aunt, and older cousin. My parents invited them into the living room. The red wedding decorations still hung on the wall behind us. It felt like sitting inside the remains of a celebration. Min's father spoke first. We should resolve this privately, before more people hear. My father responded, people have already heard. That is why we need to announce that the wedding is delayed, not cancelled. I looked at Min. He avoided my eyes. His mother leaned toward me. Young couples argue. You cannot destroy 2 families because of one argument. It was not one argument. You wanted Fo. He wanted you to help at our house. Both of you became emotional. That is not what happened. She waved her hand. You are focusing too much on words. Words matter. Not when someone is angry. They matter most when someone is angry. Her expression tightened. So you believe my son is a bad man? I believe he does not respect me. Min finally spoke. That's not true. Then why did you tell me I lose the right to make my own decisions after marriage? I already explained that. No, you said I twisted your words. Because you did. His aunt interrupted. Every household has rules. I turned to her. What rules will Min follow? She seemed surprised by the question. He's the son of the house, so there are no rules for him. Of course there are. Will he wake up early and cook? That is not men's work. Will he wash clothes? He works. So do I. You are a woman. There it was. Simple. Direct. Honest. The entire future they had planned for me could be reduced to those 4 words. You are a woman. His mother continued. No one said you must do everything alone. I will teach you. Teach me what? How we run the house. Will anyone teach Min how my life works? This is not about him entering your family. Exactly. She did not understand that she had just confirmed my fear. In their minds, marriage required me to leave my world and enter theirs. My career, my routines, my comfort, and my boundaries were negotiable. Their expectations were not. Min's cousin leaned forward. You are making this bigger than it is. I looked at him. Would you marry into a family that told you 3 days before the wedding that you must wake up every morning and serve 6 adults? He smiled. I'm a man. Then your answer does not matter. His smile disappeared. Min's father looked at my father. Your daughter is disrespectful. My father's voice remained calm. She is defending herself. This attitude will make marriage difficult for her. Then she will wait for a marriage that does not require her silence. Min's mother began crying. She said the neighbors would laugh at them. She said relatives had already purchased bus tickets. She said food deposits could not be refunded. She said her son might never recover from the humiliation. For a moment, guilt pressed against my chest. Then I noticed something. No one from Min's family asked whether I was frightened. No one asked why I had reached such an extreme decision. No one asked what Min could do to rebuild my trust. Their concern was reputation, money, guests, humiliation. They wanted the wedding to continue because cancellation was embarrassing. My happiness was barely part of the discussion. Min reached for my hand. I pulled it away. Please, he said quietly. We can move past this. How? I'll talk to my mother. About what? About not putting too much pressure on you at first. At first? The words told me everything. What happens later? He hesitated. You'll adjust. I felt strangely calm. No, people adjust after marriage. I will not adjust to being treated as household labor. You keep using ugly words because the truth sounds ugly. His face hardened again. I apologized. You apologized because the wedding was cancelled. That's not fair. Would you have apologized if I had gone to your house and cooked? He did not answer. Would you have told your mother that you were wrong? Silence. Would you have admitted that your expectations were unfair? Still nothing. I looked around the room. This conversation is over. His mother stood up. Think carefully. Once we leave, there is no return. I nodded. I understand. You will give back everything our family gave you. We will return the gifts. You will reimburse the engagement ceremony. My father spoke. We will discuss reasonable expenses through the elders. Do not threaten my daughter. I am not threatening her. You are trying to make her buy her freedom. The room fell silent. My mother placed the engagement jewelry into a small box and set it on the table. We do not want anything from your family. Min stared at the box. I watched his expression. I hoped to see sadness. I saw wounded pride. That hurt more than I expected. He stood. You will regret choosing your parents over me. I looked at him. I am choosing myself. His family left. The next 3 days were among the longest of my life. Everywhere I looked, there was evidence of the wedding. That would not happen. Boxes of decorations, stacks of unused invitations, dishes borrowed from relatives, my dress hanging behind a bedroom door. My mother and aunts called guests one by one. Some were kind, some were curious, some asked invasive questions disguised as concern. What exactly happened? Did he hit her? Was there another woman? Couldn't they just apologize? Why cancel so suddenly? A few people came to our house only to hear the story directly. One older neighbor told my mother, a woman has to endure some things. Men become better after they have children. I was standing nearby. I asked her, and what if they become worse? She looked uncomfortable. Another relative told me, you're 27. Good men are not easy to find, I replied. Then I should not waste more years with the wrong one. Not. Everyone criticized me. My mother's younger sister hugged me and said she wished she had been as brave when she was my age. A former co-worker quietly messaged me that her husband's controlling behavior had also started. With small rules before the wedding, my closest friend drove 2 hours to stay with me. She found me sitting on the floor, beside my wedding dress. "Do you want me to take it away?" she asked. I shook my head. "I don't know." She sat beside me. "Do you miss him?" "Yes." "Do you want him back?" I thought carefully. "I want the man I thought he was." She nodded. "That man may never have existed." Her words were painful, but I knew what she meant. The morning that should have been my wedding day arrived with clear skies. At 5:30 a.m. I woke automatically, according to the original schedule. Makeup should have begun at 6. The groom's procession should have arrived before 9. Instead, the house was quiet. The red decorations had been removed from the gate, but faint marks remained where the tape had been. My father was drinking tea in the front room. My mother was making pho, not cold rice. Pho. She had woken early to simmer broth because she knew I had barely eaten for 3 days. When I entered the kitchen, she placed a bowl in front of me. For a moment, neither of us spoke. Then she said, "You wanted pho." I started crying. Again, she sat beside me. "I'm sorry you lost your wedding." I shook my head. "I think I escaped my marriage." We ate together, quietly, around the time I should have been putting on my wedding dress. Min sent me a photograph that it showed the empty wedding tent at his family's house. His message read, "This is what you did." I stared at it for several minutes. Then I replied, "No, this is what happened when you believed marriage meant ownership." He did not respond. For the next month, stories about us spread through the village and online. In Min's version, I woke up craving expensive food and threw a tantrum because he would not drive me. In his mother's version, I had always looked down on their family. In his aunt's version, my parents encouraged me to cancel because they wanted to keep my salary. Every version made me shallow, spoiled, or unstable. None included the words Min said. None mentioned that he came to my house to order my father to teach me. None mentioned that his family expected me to cook for 6 adults before commuting to work. At first, I tried to correct everyone. I explained. I defended myself. I repeated the entire conversation to relatives who had already decided what they believed. Eventually, I stopped. People who wanted the truth asked questions. People who wanted gossip did not care about answers. 2 months later, Min contacted me again. He asked to meet at the pho restaurant in the district center. The irony was so obvious that I nearly refused, but I agreed because part of me wanted closure. He was already seated when I arrived. He looked thinner, tired. For several seconds, we stared at each other like strangers who shared too many memories. He ordered 2 bowls of pho without asking me. "That used to be your favorite," he said. "It still is." The bowls arrived. Steam rose between us. Neither of us ate. "I'm sorry," he said. I waited. I was under pressure. My mother kept saying you weren't helping enough with the wedding, so you agreed with her. I didn't know how to handle it. You handled it by trying to control me. I was angry. You keep using anger as though it changes what you believed. He looked down. I said things badly. "Do you still expect your wife to wake up and cook for your family every morning?" He remained silent. That silence was my answer. "Min, are you sorry for what you believe, or only sorry that I left?" His eyes filled with tears. "I miss you." That wasn't my question. I don't know how to answer. "Then nothing has changed." He reached across the table. I moved my hand. "We could live separately," he said quickly. "I've been thinking about renting a place in the city. Would your mother accept that?" "She would eventually, and if she didn't, I would talk to her." "Would you defend me?" "Yes. You didn't defend me before the wedding. I made a mistake. One mistake." He looked away. I felt sadness, but not doubt. The man sitting across from me still wanted the benefits of reconciliation without confronting the beliefs that caused the breakup. He wanted me back. He did not yet understand why I had left. "I loved you," I said. He looked at me. "Loved? Yes. You don't love me anymore?" "I don't know. But I no longer trust you with my future." His face crumpled. I had imagined that moment many times. I thought seeing him hurt might make me feel powerful. It did not. It only felt like grief. We had not failed because there was no love. We failed because his version of love required my obedience. I stood to leave. He looked at the untouched bowl. "All this because of Pho?" I shook my head. "No. Pho was just the first thing I asked for when you decided I no longer had the right to choose. I paid for my bowl and left. 6 months passed. I returned to work. The gossip became less intense. Another wedding happened in the village, then a land dispute. Then a local official was arrested. People found new things to discuss. My life slowly became ordinary again. I started waking without panic.